The night begins without announcement. There is no clear moment when it starts, no sound to mark it, no signal to follow. It simply arrives. By the time you notice it, the day has already loosened its grip. You are the night watchman. You do not rush into the building. There is no need. Night work is never about speed. It is about steadiness. You arrive as you always do at the same quiet hour when most windows are already dark and the streets have grown calm. The door opens easily. You step inside. It closes behind you with a soft, final sound. Inside, the building feels different than it does during the day. Not empty, not abandoned, just resting. The lights are dimmed. Not lowered in a dramatic way, just enough to be gentle. They do not compete with the dark. They coexist with it. You stand still for a moment. This is something you always do, even if you do not consciously decide to. You allow the space to settle around you. The air is still, cool, neutral. It carries no strong scent, nothing sharp, nothing distracting. You take a slow breath in, and then you let it go. Your shoulders relax on their own. Your posture adjusts naturally. Your body understands the night even before your mind does. You begin your first walk. Your footsteps are quiet, muted by the floor beneath you. Each step feels familiar, expected. You have walked these paths so many times that you no longer think of them as directions. They are simply where you go. The first hallway stretches ahead of you. During the day, this place is full of sound, footsteps, voices, movement. At night, it feels wider, as if the walls have gently moved apart. You walk slowly, allowing the space to pass by you. You do not scan the hallway with urgency. You do not search for problems. You observe. There is a difference. Observation is calm. Searching is tense. Night prefers observation. You reach the first door. Your hand rests lightly on the handle. The metal is cool. You turn it gently. Locked. Exactly as it should be. You let go and continue walking. There is comfort in routine. Not the kind that bores, but the kind that reassures. Routine tells you that things are stable. You move on to the next door, and the next. All closed, all quiet. Nothing calls for your attention. The building seems content to be left alone. You turn the corner. This part of the building always feels slightly different. The ceiling is lower here. The lighting softer. Shadows rest along the edges of the floor. They do not shift. They do not hide. They simply exist. You walk through them without concern. Your breathing remains slow. Even. You notice that you are not thinking about anything in particular. Thoughts appear, but they do not stay. They drift through like distant sounds from another place. You reach a window. Outside, the city is quiet, not silent, just distant. A few lights remain on in faraway buildings. They glow without purpose, without urgency. A car passes somewhere in the distance. The sound is faint, already fading. You do not follow it. You place your fingertips against the glass. Cool, solid, it grounds you. You stand there for a moment longer than you need to. At night, there is no pressure to move on quickly. You turn away from the window and continue your round. The next hallway is longer. It stretches forward calmly, not demanding to be reached. You walk at the same pace. One step, then another. There is no rush to reach the end. The end will still be there when you arrive. You notice the quiet hum of the building. It is not loud enough to be called a sound. It is more like a presence. Electricity moving through walls. Systems running steadily. The building is awake in its own way. You are simply keeping watch while it rests. You pass another clock on the wall. You glance at it briefly, then look away. Time does not matter much during the night. It moves differently here. Minutes stretch. Seconds soften. You no longer measure them. You check another door. Locked. Your hand relaxes again at your side. Everything is in order. You continue walking. Your body feels loose now. Comfortable. The night has settled fully around you. There is no tension left to release. Only presence. You reach a small intersection of corridors and slow slightly. Not because you must, but because slowing feels natural. You listen. Nothing changes. And that tells you everything you need to know. You remain standing at the intersection of the corridors for a few moments longer. There is no reason to move immediately. There is also no reason not to. The night does not push you in either direction. Eventually, you choose one path without thinking about why. Your feet begin moving again, slow and certain. This corridor feels familiar in a deeper way. Not because it looks different, but because you have passed through it so many times that it no longer asks for attention. The lights here are evenly spaced. Their glow is soft, steady, predictable. You walk beneath them one by one, each pool of light giving way to the next. Your footsteps remain quiet, almost absorbed by the floor. There is a gentle rhythm to it now. Step, pause, step. The rhythm does not change. It does not need to. You pass another closed door, then another, all of them undisturbed, all of them patient. You rest your hand on one doorframe briefly as you walk by. The surface is smooth, cool. It feels solid and dependable. You keep moving. Your breathing remains slow, settled into a pattern that feels natural. You are not trying to control it. It simply happens. The night has a way of doing that. You reach the end of the corridor and turn gently to the left. The turn is wide, unhurried. There is no sharp movement. This section of the building is quieter than the others, not because it is farther away, but because fewer systems run here. The hum is softer. The silence feels deeper. You slow your pace slightly without deciding to. Your body adjusts before your thoughts do. You walk past a storage area. The door is closed. The sign on it is faded. Inside, everything rests exactly where it was left. Boxes, shelves. Stillness. You imagine the room remaining this way for hours, unchanged. The thought feels comforting. You continue walking. There is a subtle warmth in the air here, not enough to wake you, just enough to relax you further. You feel it in your shoulders, in your arms. The building holds its temperature steadily. Nothing fluctuates. You reach another window. This one looks out over a quieter street. Fewer lights, fewer signs. The darkness outside feels thicker here, as if it absorbs sound. You stop again. You are not waiting for anything to happen. You are simply allowing the moment to exist. Outside, nothing moves. Inside, nothing calls for attention. You stand balanced and calm. Your thoughts are sparse now. When one appears, it fades before it can form completely. You turn away from the window and continue. Your radio remains silent. You almost forget about it entirely. That is how it should be. A quiet radio means a calm night. You walk toward the stairwell. The entrance is open, the space beyond dimly lit. You place your hand on the railing and begin to descend. Each step is deliberate, measured. The sound of your movement is minimal, contained, down one level, then another. You pause briefly halfway down, not because you heard something, only because pausing feels natural here. The stairwell holds sound differently. It feels enclosed, supportive. You continue downward. At the bottom, you step into another corridor. This one feels slightly cooler. The air brushes gently against your skin. You take a slow breath and continue walking. The lights here hum just a little louder, still soft, still steady. You pass another clock. You do not look at it this time. You no longer feel the need to. Time is moving whether you watch it or not. You check another door. Locked. Your hand releases the handle easily. There is no tension in your grip. Everything remains in order. You walk on. Your movements feel automatic now, not careless, just settled. The building recognizes you, and you recognize it. This mutual familiarity creates a quiet trust. You reach a small desk near the wall and stop beside it. You do not sit yet. You simply stand there for a moment, resting your hands lightly on the surface. It is solid, unmoving. You lean forward slightly, then straighten again. You feel steady. The night continues to stretch ahead, wide and unbroken. There is no end in sight, and that feels right. You turn away from the desk and resume your walk. The rhythm continues. Step, pause, step. The building remains calm. And so do you. You continue walking without thinking about where you are going. The path is familiar enough that direction no longer matters. Your body follows the building the way water follows a channel, smoothly, without resistance. The hallway opens slightly here, giving the space a wider feeling. The ceiling lifts. The air feels a touch more open. You notice it without focusing on it. At night, details register softly. Nothing demands attention. You walk beneath another light, then another. Each one passes overhead without changing your pace. The glow moves across the floor and then fades behind you. Your footsteps remain even. There is no difference between one step and the next. This consistency feels reassuring. You pass another door. Locked. Another. Locked. The confirmations are quiet, but they add up. Everything is stable. You slow near a corner, turning gently. This section of the building is rarely used at night. It always feels slightly removed, as if it exists a little outside of time. The walls here are plain, the floor unmarked. Nothing stands out, and that is what makes it restful. You walk through the space without expectation. Your breathing is slow enough now that you barely notice it. In, out. The rhythm stays the same. You are not trying to relax. Relaxation has already arrived. You reach another window. This one is higher, smaller. It shows a different angle of the night outside. The sky looks flat and dark, not dramatic, just present. You do not linger long this time. You turn away easily and continue. The night does not ask you to pause unless you want to. You move on. Your radio remains silent. Your thoughts are nearly gone now. When something crosses your mind, it dissolves before it can settle. You reach another stairwell and place your hand on the railing again. The metal feels familiar. You descend slowly. Each step is quiet. The stairwell holds you gently, contained and calm. You reach the bottom and step back into another corridor. The temperature changes slightly again. Not enough to matter, just enough to notice. You walk on. There is a bench against the wall here. You stop beside it. This time you sit. The bench supports you easily. You rest your hands in your lap. You do not lean forward. You do not lean back. You simply sit. There is no pressure to stand again quickly. The night allows you this pause. You sit and breathe. The building continues to hum quietly. Nothing shifts. Nothing interrupts. You feel heavy in a comfortable way. Not tired. Grounded. After a while you stand again. The movement is slow, smooth. You do not rush back into motion. You return to your walk. The corridor stretches ahead of you again. It looks the same as before. That sameness feels safe. You continue forward. Your pace remains unchanged. Step, step. The sound of your movement blends into the background. You no longer feel separate from the building. You are simply part of the night now. Another door. Locked. Another. Locked. Your hand releases each handle gently. There is no force in the movement, only confirmation. You continue. The hours ahead feel wide, unclaimed. There is no sense of nearing the end of anything, only continuation. The night holds steady, and you move within it, calm and present, watching without effort. You move through the corridor as if time itself has slowed to match you. There is no contrast between moments now. One blends gently into the next. The lights remain unchanged. The air remains steady. Nothing signals progress and nothing needs to. You reach another intersection. You pause briefly, letting your weight settle evenly through your feet. There is no decision to make in a hurry. All paths eventually lead back into the same quiet. You choose one almost without realizing it and continue walking. The walls here feel closer together. Not confining, just intimate. The sound of your steps is softer still. It feels as though the building has learned your pace and adjusted itself accordingly. You pass a maintenance panel set into the wall, closed, undisturbed. Everything remains exactly as it was left. You walk on. Your breathing is so slow now that it feels disconnected from effort. It happens on its own. In, out. The rhythm does not change. You notice a faint warmth rising through the floor, subtle, even. The building regulates itself quietly. You reach another stretch of hallway and continue along it without looking ahead. Your gaze stays soft, unfocused. Nothing needs to be inspected closely. Another door passes by your side. Locked. The familiar resistance, the gentle release. You move on. Your shoulders feel heavy in a pleasant way, as if they are no longer holding anything up. Your arms hang naturally at your sides. There is no tension anywhere in you now. You walk beneath another light. The glow passes over you and moves on. You do not follow it. You pass another window. This one shows very little, just darkness, just stillness. You do not stop. You keep walking. The building seems to stretch without changing. You begin to lose any sense of how long you have been moving. Minutes could be passing, or longer. It makes no difference. You reach another stairwell and descend again. The steps feel familiar beneath your feet. The handrail supports your hand lightly. Down one level, then another. Your movement remains slow and steady. You pause at the bottom only long enough to let the space settle around you again. Then you continue. This lower level feels deeper, quieter. The hum of the building is almost imperceptible here. The silence feels thick but not heavy. It is supportive. You walk past a closed office door, then another, all unchanged. Your mind is nearly empty now. There is no narrative, no memory pulling you backward, no anticipation pulling you forward. Only the present movement remains. You reach another bench and stop beside it. You do not sit this time. You simply rest your hand on its surface. Cool, solid. You remain there for a moment, then move on again. The night continues to open ahead of you, wide and calm. You are exactly where you need to be. You continue walking without any awareness of distance. The building unfolds around you in the same quiet way it always does. Nothing shifts suddenly. Nothing calls out. The floor supports each step without resistance. Your pace remains unchanged. Step, step. The sound blends into the night. You pass another stretch of wall where nothing hangs and nothing is marked. It feels intentionally plain. There is comfort in its simplicity. You walk on. The air remains still, not stagnant, just calm. It feels as though the building is holding its breath gently, not waiting, just resting. You reach another light, then another. Their glow feels distant now, as if it no longer belongs to the visual world but to the rhythm of the space. You no longer count them. Your eyes remain soft. You pass another door. Locked. Your hand releases the handle easily. You do not linger. Routine continues without thought. Your breathing remains slow and deep, the same pattern repeating itself without instruction. In, out, each breath feels complete. You notice how your body feels heavier, not from fatigue but from stillness. A grounded weight, the kind that does not pull you down but settles you in place. You walk into another section of the building. This one feels unchanged from the last. That sameness feels reassuring. You no longer expect variation. You do not need it. You pass another window. The darkness outside looks uniform now. No movement, no light shifting. Just night. You do not stop. You continue walking. Your thoughts have faded almost completely. There is no internal dialogue, only awareness. The building remains steady. Your presence remains steady. The two coexist quietly. You reach another stairwell and descend once more. The steps feel smooth underfoot. Downward movement feels natural, unremarkable. You pause briefly at the bottom, then continue. This level feels no different from the others. That lack of distinction feels calming. You walk through another corridor, then another. Each one feels familiar, even if you cannot recall how many times you have passed through them. Time no longer registers clearly. There is only movement and stillness combined. You reach another bench and sit again. This time you remain seated longer. Your hands rest easily. Your shoulders sink. You breathe. The building hums faintly. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to. After a while you stand again. The movement feels slow and effortless. You return to your walk. The night continues to stretch without boundary. You move within it calmly, present, watchful, unhurried. You keep moving as if the building itself is guiding you. There is no effort in the motion now, no adjustment. Your body has fully settled into the night. The corridor ahead looks identical to the last, and the one before that. This repetition does not dull your awareness, it softens it. You walk beneath another light. Its glow passes over you without changing anything. Your steps remain quiet. The sound feels distant, as if it belongs to someone else. You pass another closed door, locked. The familiar confirmation lands gently and disappears. You no longer register it consciously. Routine has taken over completely. Your breathing continues at the same slow pace. In, out. The pause between breaths feels longer now. Comfortable. The building remains still around you. Nothing shifts, nothing creaks. You move through another intersection without stopping this time. Your body chooses the direction without thought. The walls here feel neutral, neither close nor far. The space simply exists. You pass a small alcove in the wall, empty. You do not look inside, there is nothing waiting there. You walk on. The air feels slightly cooler here, barely noticeable. It brushes your skin and then fades. You reach another window. The glass reflects a faint image of you. Unclear, soft. You do not focus on it. You turn away and continue. Your radio remains silent. It has been silent for so long that you forget it is part of you. The night holds everything steady. You descend another stairwell. The steps pass beneath you one by one without sound. Downward movement feels familiar. You reach the bottom and pause. Not because you need to, but because pausing and moving feel almost the same now. You continue. The corridor ahead feels deep. Not long, deep, as if it extends inward rather than forward. You walk through it without expectation. Your thoughts are completely still now. No images, no words, just awareness without focus. You pass another bench and do not stop. Sitting and walking feel equally restful. You continue forward. The lights remain unchanged. The hum remains constant. The building feels balanced. And so do you. You are no longer marking progress. You are no longer marking time. The night simply continues and you continue with it. The floor beneath you changes slightly. Not in height, not in texture, in feeling. It becomes easier to step as if the building has adjusted itself to match your weight. You notice this without reacting. Noting things has become passive. Your attention drifts outward and inward at the same time. The corridor opens into a wider space. A lobby, empty. The ceiling rises higher here and the lights are spaced farther apart. Their glow does not reach the corners. Those corners remain untouched. You cross the lobby diagonally, cutting through the open space without slowing down. Your footsteps echo faintly now, but even the echo sounds tired, as if sound itself is ready to rest. There is a security desk at the far end, unoccupied. You glance at it only long enough to confirm what you already know. No one sits there. No one ever does. You pass behind it and move toward the next corridor. The air here smells different, clean, neutral, like a place that has forgotten what it is used for. Your shoulders drop slightly, a natural adjustment. Your body is no longer holding itself up. The night is doing that for you. You walk beneath another light. This one flickers once and then stabilizes. You do not react. Flickering is just another variation that does not matter. Your breathing stays slow. The rhythm has locked in. You turn a corner. The corridor narrows again, walls closer, ceiling lower. This space feels older, not damaged, just familiar. You have walked this corridor hundreds of times, but the memory of doing so no longer carries detail. It exists only as a sense of recognition. Your hand brushes the wall briefly as you pass. The surface is cool. That is all. You reach another door. This one has a small window, dark beyond it. You stop, just for a moment. You look through the glass. Nothing looks back. Satisfied, you move on. Your radio crackles faintly, just static. The sound rises and then fades. You do not reach for it. If something needed you, you would already know. The building would tell you before the radio ever could. You descend another set of stairs. The motion is smooth, effortless. Your legs move automatically. Your mind remains empty. Halfway down, you pause again, not because you're tired, because stillness feels complete here. You stand between floors as if suspended. The lights above and below cast overlapping shadows. You exist inside them. Then you continue. At the bottom, the hallway feels quieter. Not because there is less sound, because you are listening less. You pass a maintenance cart, parked neatly against the wall, tools untouched. You do not check it. Everything that should be in place already is. You continue forward. The night stretches. Not forward, around you. Time has loosened. Minutes no longer stack neatly. They dissolve as soon as they pass. Your awareness floats just ahead of your body, guiding it gently. You walk through another intersection, 4 corridors, all equally dim. You choose one without thought. Choice has become unnecessary. Movement is enough. The light ahead is warmer, barely. A subtle shift in tone. You notice it and feel nothing about it. Warm or cold no longer carry meaning. Only presence does. Your footsteps slow slightly, not from fatigue, from comfort. The building breathes with you. A long, quiet inhale, a longer exhale. You match it instinctively. A door on your left stands ajar. This is unusual. You stop. The hinge does not creak. The door remains perfectly still. Inside is a small room. Storage, shelves, boxes, everything labeled, nothing disturbed. You do not enter. You close the door gently. It latches without sound. Balance restored. You continue. The corridor bends slowly to the right. The curve is subtle. You barely notice the turn happening. It feels like walking through a thought that has no beginning and no end. Your mind remains quiet, not empty, quiet. There is a difference. You reach another window. Outside, the city glows faintly. Lights far away, muted, as if seen through water. You stand there for a few seconds longer than usual, not watching, just existing. Then you move on. Your reflection follows you briefly in the glass before dissolving. You descend another level. Lower floors feel heavier, not oppressive. Grounded, you belong here. The lights hum more deeply here. A lower pitch. You walk past a locked gate. Metal bars, solid, secure. You run your eyes along it without stopping. The night remains sealed, as it should be. You turn another corner. The corridor ends at a wall, a dead end. You stop. You stand there calmly. You turn around. You walk back the way you came. No frustration, no correction, just movement. Walking back feels no different than walking forward. Direction has lost importance. Your body continues its loop with steady grace. The building accepts this. You pass the same lights again. They look identical, they feel identical. You could not say which one you are under now. And you do not need to. You reach the intersection again. This time, you choose a different corridor. The floor here is smoother. The sound of your steps softens. Your shoulders sink lower. Your head tilts slightly downward, a resting posture. The night wraps around you gently. You pass another stairwell. You do not take it, not yet. The corridor stretches ahead like a quiet promise. You continue. The corridor bends gently, guiding you without force. A faint hum drifts from somewhere above, a machine, a vent, or perhaps the building itself breathing. You do not question it. Your steps have grown lighter, almost soundless, as if the floor itself has softened beneath you. Ahead, a doorway appears, slightly ajar. Light spills from it in a thin, golden line. You do not rush. You pause. The air smells faintly of paper, dust, and something warm you cannot name. You step inside. The room is empty. Chairs tucked neatly under tables, shadows curling along the walls. For a moment, the world outside, the city, the traffic, the distant sirens, feels miles away. You exhale slowly, letting your shoulders loosen further. Time seems suspended. Somewhere a clock ticks, but its sound is a lullaby rather than a reminder. You walk to the window. Outside, the city slumbers. Streetlights shimmer like tiny stars scattered across black water. You rest your hands on the sill, and you realize it does not matter where you are, which way you came, or which way you go next. The loop has ended only because you have stopped chasing its edges. The night holds you now quietly, gently, without expectation. And for the first time in hours, or was it minutes, you feel perfectly at ease. You sit on the floor, letting the soft hum of the building fill you. Everything is still. Everything is whole. And you simply exist. The corridor, the stairs, the lights, they will wait. You do not need to move anymore. The night wraps you in silence, and for now, that is enough.